Hey, good to see you again. This is Kitty Anderson. I'm a board certified menopause coach, and today we're going to be part one for menopause and the brain and HRT in the brain, and kind of putting together a cohesive story for you so that you can understand how impactful this is. So, if you're going through the menopause ups and downs right now, the fluctuations of perimenopause, your estrogen is rolling from 0 to 500. So it's just moving back and forth, back and forth. And then when your periods stop, you are considered menopausal. And then your estrogen levels are down to about 10. So really scraping the bottom. And to give you a little background, I am 64 years old and I have been doing HRT for 14 years. I think I cover this a lot in some of my other videos, but I studied probably for the last 6 years. I've been taking neuroscience courses and reading books outside and reading original research papers so that I can understand the brain on a cellular level and make sure that I'm doing enough to keep my brain super healthy. So my whole goal is to do this for myself first, and then because there aren't that many women talking about using HRT for their brain, they're talking about hot flashes, they're talking about joint pain, they're talking about sleep, they're talking about sexual health and pain during intercourse. And all of that is connected to your brain and how your brain is functioning. Every hot flash becomes an indicator of brain damage. So we want to get rid of those hot flashes. And when we do that, we're starting down the path to really helping our brain. So you're already working on this if you're working on hot flashes. But I want to give you a little bit of background. So the brain is going to be your director organ, and about 70 to 80% of us feel that we're afraid of losing our mind, right? So as we age, we're afraid of losing our mind. 80% of Alzheimer's patients are women. Women are more likely to succumb to Alzheimer's, and the brain damage that happens begins at menopause. So that's right there telling you this is hormonal to some degree, and you need to work on the hormonal aspect of it. So how are they stopping the progression of Alzheimer's for 80-year-olds, right? You think they're done and gone, and Alzheimer's just a downhill slide, and everything is fate, and you think it's genetic and you can't influence it. That's so wrong. Your brain is full of plasticity. So there are Japanese researchers, and I'll put a link to the information here so that you can look this up if you want to. Japanese researchers that are using this. So something I have in my house, this is stopping the progression of Alzheimer's. And this is 2 milligrams of 0.1% estradiol. And this is something your doctor can prescribe you. It is estradiol, and it is the foundation for all the other hormones in your body. And your brain is washed with hormones. So this can save you. You start this at menopause, and you are on your way to a healthy brain. What this is doing is it's actually changing the structure of the brain cells. So they are more receptive to information. So they have these little receiver parts, and they're all crissy-crossy inside your brain. And those without estrogen, they're going to get simplified. And once again, it's going to be transdermal. So it's going to be a gel, or it's going to be a cream, or it's going to be a patch. And it's estradiol, not estriol, not biased, not triest. It's going to be estradiol. The Alzheimer's researchers are headed this way. So that's something to know. What I do is I push to the highest level of a patch for me, and then I'm experimenting up. So I'm going higher than this. So I'm adding this and this to get some type of a brain effect. We know that the higher doses don't lead to any type of cancer or any type of problem. We know from the WHI study that high dosing is not linked to any of the problems they found in some of those women. So you don't have to worry about high dosing. It's going to work for you. Now, we also know that oral estradiol, and I have to mention this because I have had clients who are on oral estradiol. So there's a study recently that showed that the blood levels of women using oral estradiol varied from 9 picograms per ml to 360 picograms per ml. So these women had vastly different impacts. So here's what's happening. When you take oral, and so I'm never recommending oral, when you take oral, it's going through your digestion, it's getting transformed, hits the liver, and the liver's whole job is to transform things. So it hits the liver and boom, it's like 10 other things. So you're getting a different product. Even though I tell you, please get estradiol, I'm also telling you, please get transdermal estradiol, because it's showing up on some of the studies. It's showing up as a high performer for mental health, for sleep, and it looks like cognitive health. Although a lot of the studies do not measure cognitive health. It's so sad. They're measuring hot flashes, but they're not measuring your brain. So you have to kind of go for the individual studies to figure this out. So brain protector number 1 is estradiol. That is like a primer on a canvas. Think of this canvas. So they primed it first with something that's super absorbent that sticks to the canvas, and then the colors come out true when you paint, and then they stay longer, right? So this painting can live forever. So estradiol does the same type of thing. So the second thing you want to do, of course, is progesterone. And I'm going to say progesterone. Do not use MPA. Do not use these other products that are almost progesterone. You need to use this for the myelination on the brain. It's a coating over your nerves in your brain. So you use this. It also balances out your estradiol so that you don't get endometrial cancer. So this is just common sense, really. This is how your body did it premenopausally. You're going to use both of these. So these are brain health. So you do that. I'm going to stay really practical here and not give you a ton of science on brain health. The third thing that you want to get is transdermal testosterone. And this, we know that when we suppress it inside of a person, they lose cognitive health. They lose brain health. And we know that when we add it back, they gain brain health. So this is a part of your brain treatments, right? This is a part of it. It does 20 other things, and I'll do another video on the case for testosterone in case your doctor is not testosterone friendly. Women need 3 times as much testosterone as estradiol. It's just as critical. So it has another 20 some functions in your body, and you don't want to miss the brain health. You don't want to miss that at all. It's awesome. Other little helper molecules for your brain that you might need at menopause is one is called pregnenolone. So pregnenolone, and I'm not advertising a brand or anything. I'm an independent coach. I don't advertise any products. I just want you to see. So this is just a capsule, and it's highly variable how much you could use. It's hard to find a doctor that will, you don't need a prescription, right? So, but it's really hard to find a doctor that knows what this could do. So it is a top level hormone that really, this actually turns into allopregnenolone in your brain. So when it crosses the barrier, it turns into allopregnenolone, and that is brain protective. And there is a group of researchers doing Alzheimer's reversal with allopregnenolone and an estrogen. They call it a SERM. So you'll find the work of Roberta Diaz-Brinton and she is using almost this combination, right? So brain health, we're talking about brain health. You'll see a good change in mood if you need this, if you add this. And I use 200 milligrams. I don't know what's right for you. Work with your provider and see if they know enough about it. If you want, you can email me and I will send you a one-pager that tells you all the things that pregnenolone does. But right now I'm just highlighting brain health. I definitely felt a difference on it. And I call this a health bump. And this is something that I get from every single thing I've tried. I've had drug failures on the other side, and that's how I found these helper molecules, right? And then I did the extra research, and these turn out to be so handy. Another thing that is a helper molecule that you may need is melatonin. Melatonin. So this is the sleep onset hormone. This is a hormone. You don't know this, but because your estradiol is low, all of your other hormones are impacted. So this is really important. If you're having trouble with sleep onset, you can add melatonin, and it's highly personal. Again, most people need about 3 to 6 milligrams. So, but this is something that you can do. It's over the counter, right? So you don't need a prescription for this. You're not going to stop your own production of it. One way you can test your own production of it is you can take a sunset walk, and that should be stimulating your eyes, which stimulates the part of the brain that creates the melatonin. But it's possible that your brain is so inflamed that you cannot create it. Our estrogen, once again, is an anti-inflammatory. So you can assume that your body and brain are inflamed unless you get a high enough level of this. Your body is entirely different. The rules have changed. Okay, so whatever you did premenopausally, you've got to support your hormones. All right. So let me tell you a story, and I wanted to start with this because it's so funny. In 2007, when I had menopause, my brain fog was so bad that I couldn't read a phone number and then dial it on my phone. I couldn't do it. I couldn't do 7 digits, right? Because back then it was just a 7-digit thing. And back then there was no contacts, right? So you had to rely on your memory. I was reading over here a 7-digit phone number, and I couldn't dial it. I could do 3, and then I'd go, I can't do those last 4 digits. What the heck is wrong with me? And that is your working memory is shrinking during perimenopause, and you can expand it back. And the contrast I want you to think about is here are the books that I've been through, as well as 4 neuroscience classes. This is what I can do now, right? Is I can filter all of this for you. I can do this. I couldn't do a phone number, and now I can read all through this and filter it out and create a video for you. That's how dramatic hormones are. And that's your recovery. You can recover. I don't want you to think that you can't recover. Another element is going to be thyroid hormone. I want you to get your thyroid checked. The TSH level is going to indicate whether or not your thyroid is getting damaged. The thyroid is commonly damaged with hormone fluctuations, and this is something that many of us, I don't know what the percentage is, but many of us will run into it. So if you need thyroid hormone, that is definitely going to affect your brain. In fact, if we see kids slowing down, we do check that immediately because their brain development is going to be impacted. We know that. So same with you. You need that support. And when you get that support in place, it runs your entire metabolism, including the metabolism of your brain. So that's really important. So not another factor to think about. Another thing that I have added is something called low-dose naltrexone, and you can email me at jumpstartaip, and I'll send you an ebook on it, which will help you. It's full of links, and it'll help you bounce out to all the research. The Stanford Pain Clinic says that this is a non-toxic drug, and you're like, what? all drugs have some toxicity, don't they? And you're thinking, this is impossible. Well, what it is it's only 3 to 5 milligrams, and it is FDA approved for 1,500 milligrams. So your doctor can prescribe this for you. What this does is it boosts your own endorphins. And endorphins, you know, are from exercise and massage and acupuncture. So for pennies a day, you can boost your own endorphins, and it will help your immune system, your brain health, your brain plasticity. It'll help all the neurochemicals in your brain. So all of the brain function is affected by this. And I found this when they lowered my thyroid dose by 40% and almost killed me. So I found a couple things when doctors were mistreating me. So this is very helpful. I kept it in. I used to need it, desperately need it, right? When my thyroid dose was way too low, my metabolism was dropping through the floor. So once I got that back up, I still added it, and I could feel a health bump. I could feel my brain doing better, right? So everything I'm talking about, you're going to feel a health bump. And lastly, let's see, I'm trying to cover so much. And don't feel bad about the polypharmacy piece, right? We're trying to put in identical molecules, right? So we're really trying to do the natural thing of getting identical molecules back into our body so that it can function at a high level. Do you want to be able to read a lot of books? Do you want to be able, and this could be a stack of fiction for you, this could be something that you just love, or it could be some hobby. This is going to keep you in the game. If you keep your brain in the game, you are in the game. You know, you're back into the game of life. You're creative and you're developing and you're moving on your path. You're not disrupted. You're not stopped. You're not having to step back in life, right? We don't want you to do that. This is another medication that I take at a very, very low dose, and it's going to sound nuts, probably. It is a psychiatric medication that affects dopamine and serotonin. So this one is not an SSRI, because I have that category of drugs I have a bad reaction to. So this is called risperdal. Don't know if this is going to work for you, but some type of psychiatric meds can be really good for your brain. So this one ensures my sleep, and it affects my own prolactin level, which is incredibly low because of my low estradiol. So for me, I actually went to the psychiatrist for this, and a psychiatrist can be an ally for you. So that affects my sleep. It improves my sleep, and definitely make sure I get deep wave sleep every night. It improves my immune system, because prolactin is a support for the immune system. It improves my cognition, because I'm getting that deep wave sleep, because then it improves the next day. I don't have food cravings caused by poor sleep, right? So the next day I'm rested, so I have the energy to exercise. There's a ripple effect. So if you've never had a psychiatric med before, which I didn't, then suddenly you have the low hormones. You might want to support those, and those can be good for your brain. So this is very individual, and I think they're just now getting to the point where they're understanding the body well enough to fine-tune the medications. I know that there are some tests out there that you can do before, and certainly you can, for this particular medicine, you can test your prolactin. And if it's below normal, that's going to be a problem. So you're going to want to at least get it to normal level. So those are the big things that you can do for your brain. I call them helpers. But let me say one more thing. So this book, let's see. Let's look at this book. Well, let me say two more things. Let's talk about nutritious diet. Let's talk about paleo and then what's called the paleo autoimmune protocol. And I have an entire lesson on this that I'm going to put up on YouTube that's very detailed about the 16 nutrients for your immune system and how this fulfills that. But if you've been hearing a lot about the microbiome, you might be thinking, I want to have a healthy microbiome. So this does that too. So one of the things that this does is it includes nutrient-dense foods. So for every bite, you've got more vitamins and minerals. So it's really topping off your diet in a way that other whole food diets don't. It is also removing any food molecule that acts like a hormone. So you're going to move soy. You're going to get rid of soy. It's a phytoestrogen, right? So it's going to block your estrogen receptors. So it's going to remove all those food molecules that look like hormones and block your hormone function. It is going to remove all the food molecules that make it hard to digest. So there's actually some plant forms that actually signal your digestive system to stop producing enzymes to break down the food. So you're getting partially digested food. Then it's going to boost all the core nutrients. A good example is vitamin A. So vitamin A is critical for the endothelial cells in your intestines that absorb all the other nutrients, right? So you're going to get this super high dose, super physiological dose of vitamin A. So you're going to take out all the inflammatory foods because guess what? With low estradiol, you are inflamed. You don't have a test. You don't need a test. You are inflamed now. And inflammatory foods, think of how if you have a cut and you've got that redness and puffiness, well, your entire intestinal tract, your whole body, and your brain are affected. So this is a brain clearing diet. It is a brain nutrient diet. It has very high levels of all the nutrients that your brain needs. And it takes out all the toxins, so the things that are actually opening up the blood-brain barrier and letting toxins seep into your body. It's also taking out things like artificial sugars, which are known to suppress your hormone function. So it takes out the things that stop your HRT from working. So you want your HRT working, you want your brain working. So you migrate over to this diet. Now, it is a do-it-yourself program, and you can do it yourself. Or you can use an autoimmune protocol coach. And the reason, the overall reason is that people who are having autoimmune issues, and you likely are actually, there's a lot of autoimmune onset at menopause. So people are having those issues. They're based on nutrients. And so in the studies that they've done on this diet, people with those types of symptoms, including brain fog, 73% recovery in 6 weeks on this diet. Bam. This is a diet that moves the mark. This is a diet that feeds your brain. And so I've been on this for 8 years. I became an autoimmune protocol coach. You can email me at Jumpstart AIP and I can set you up with some resources. There's lots of cookbooks, lots of ways to do this, but I always include this as part of the solution. And you'll find in all of these books, they also talk about whole food diets, Mediterranean diets, autoimmune protocol diets. They are always including diets. And I talked about this in another video, but I'll say it again. Your estradiol, even at the top dose, is controlling the gates that open up and let you absorb nutrients. So someone building a human, pregnant, is going to have their estradiol or their estrogen levels up at 7,000. The gates are wide open, right? This is wide open. When you're postmenopausal, your gates are at 10. They're tiny. So you do your HRT and you open them up to 100, but you're still not way open, right? So because of that, every bite has to have more nutrients in it, or you're going to have starvation type of effects. And your brain is going to be affected by that. The brain is affected by nutrient starvation. You just have got to consider diet. It seems overwhelming at first, so you take it step by step. We do a lot of habit change in coaching. I teach you how to create the new habits, but I'm actually integrating it with your life. I'm talking about how you do things and what you like. What flavors do you like, right? So all of this is about you at the center, always at coaching. You are at the center. So that's my overview of the brain and the helper molecules. So give you some ideas of places to go for help. So it's really important the types of products that you use, that you get your bases covered to make sure sleep happens. That's when all the toxins are removed from your brain. You got to make sure that sleep is happening. Hot flashes have to be gone. Those are signs of brain damage. Don't let this go on for years. You can start this all in perimenopause. Before your periods have stopped, you can start supporting your estradiol, supporting your progesterone, and eventually supporting your testosterone. Testosterone's a little iffy. You do need it ultimately, but the timing on that is not exactly the same. So once again, I'm a board certified coach. I help people make the changes in menopause to support their brain. I have done the research, and I'm a good example. Someone who couldn't dial a phone number to someone who can take university level courses in neuroscience. So that's how dramatic it is. That's how much brain support. I'm not ashamed that I use brain support in a bottle or in a gel. I am not ashamed. This is the way our bodies are supposed to work. And I want to run at top speed. I do not want to lay down and die. I just don't want to do it. So if this is something that you're interested in, I'm going to follow up with a little more detail on specifics, but I gave you the overview today, and you can take this and run with it. You don't have to read all these books. They're all there, but you don't have to read them. So that's all I wanted to say today, and I hope you're doing well. And send me an email at Jumpstart AIP if you need anything. I do have an initial HRT appointment guide that will help you choose the right HRT products and help you understand all the functions in your body, the 80 functions of estradiol, the 20 for progesterone, and the other 20 for testosterone. It's all there in the book. So send me an email. I'm happy to help.